Well, it was bound to happen eventually, and it finally did. Broke one of the hammers off of Wyle. This is what they're supposed to look like. This guy right here. When they swing around, that's how they cut. Just like just shearing right there. This guy, and I could feel it when I did it, he hit a rock and it just snapped it off. I've hit rocks before with no damage, but this one just caught it right. So I ordered some new ones, and we'll see if we can get this fixed, because that throws it off balance more than you would expect. Just that little bit of metal missing. This thing's spinning at so many RPMs. Just that little bit of weight difference really throws it off balance wise. So we'll get some new ones in and see what we can come up with. And unfortunately, there's not enough room in there to use the impact gun because of this guy being in the way over here. So we will have to do it the old-fashioned way. The plain old ratchet and a crescent wrench on the nut end. Now, bearing in mind, this is from overseas. It is metric. That's a 19 millimeter. So when you get the crescent wrench for the other side, be sure to grab a metric crescent wrench, because that would be frustrating to get up there with an SAE crescent wrench and not be able to grab it right. And there we go. So get him out of there. Okay, a couple of disappointments here. I guess lesson number one is don't take what people tell you on internet forums as gospel. I know that obviously, but I knew little enough about this subject that I took them at their word, and to be fair, it's not on them to tell me what I need to do. Short version is there are several different sizes of mower hammers. Online on tractorbynet.com, which is a pretty good tractor forum if you have questions on farm machinery or tractors in general. The answers I got were that there are 3-inch wide hammers and 5.5-inch wide hammers. I found these and they were listed as 3.5, so I thought, well, that must be what they're talking about, and that's what I get for assuming. They are very different. The factory ones that are on the mower weigh right at 15, 16 ounces. This guy's 27 ounces plus. So that would take tons of grinding to make that fit. Also, the length is different, so it would be cutting at a slightly different length than the others, but the insurmountable part is a mounting bolt. The mower uses 12 millimeter bolt for mounting. This guy has 16 millimeter hole in him, so there's no way to do that without some kind of rigged up bushing, because I would need a bushing to fit in here but still fit through the 12 millimeter holes on the motor itself. So, short version, I have to order some new correct size hammers, and I found them online. I'm going to keep looking. They are the 3-inch, and they're listed as 12 millimeter and 420 grams, which are just a hair under a pound, which is what that weighs. So I'm fairly confident those are right. I'm going to keep looking a little bit because those are inexpensive, but the shipping costs twice what the blades do, or the hammers do, just because they have to come all the way from Poland, of all things. I know there's a lot of punchlines there, y'all, but let's just leave that at that. So I'll see if I can get the right ones in, and we'll pick up again later. Okay, well, it's next week already, and the new hammers have come in. This is the original. There's the broken one. That's the original I pulled off opposite of that one for balance purposes. And that's the new ones that I just got in. Obviously a much better copy. That's not even close. So I'll get these mounted. I'll probably take the opportunity to clean up the edge on these old ones a little bit. They still cut surprisingly well for as dull as they are, but I figure just a second or two with the bench grinder will get them a lot cleaner without altering weight hardly at all. And these are same size, same bolt hole, and within 1/3 of an ounce of the same weight. So I think we're good to go. I'll get this mounted up and get things tested out. Can someone explain to me why blue Loctite is in a red tube? Does that make any sense to anybody? No. Even if you switch brands to Permatex, the green is in a blue tube. And you can see it's actually labeled green right there. I put a piece of tape over it to mark it green, because that is permanent. There is no undoing that thread locker. But why in God's green earth do you put blue in a red package when you also make a thread locker red? What's up with that? What do you think, girl? What's up with that? Yeah, I don't get it either. You're all right. For a little reread. Okay, time to put them back on. I actually removed the broken one here, and also the unbroken one directly across from it. The idea being any weight difference would be mitigated by having two of the new ones diametrically opposed to each other instead of just one new one. But they are so close to the same weight, I'm not going to bother doing that. I'm going to put the original one that I took off, the unbroken one, back on, and one of the new ones, because they're within a fraction of an ounce of the same weight. So we'll get these put on. Got my blue Loctite in the red tube. That makes sense. You gotta love Loctite. One thing you don't want is you don't want one of these flying off at however many thousand RPMs they're rolling. So let's get this up in there. And I do tend to overdo Loctite because I like it. You don't need that much, but that way I know there's at least enough. I hate small spaces. And because I can't use the impact wrench, I went to a shallower socket just to make things easier to reach. Come on. It's hard to even see what's happening there. There we go. Think about it, John. The sun's so bright and I'm looking into a dark space, makes it actually hard to see the details. Okay, so we're good to go. That's the original one back on. Now to replace the broken one, we have one of the new ones. Yep. being an oversized Yeti does occasionally have its drawbacks. Okay. How cool is that? My dad stamped his initials into his tools when he worked in the steel mill up in Detroit from the 50s to the 70s. So that's how old that wrench is. That's kind of cool. So with that new blade on there, I'm going to go ahead and very lightly touch up the edges of the old blades with the angle grinder. Not a lot. I'm not removing much material. I'm just kind of smoothing things out because they're pretty darn rough. And that is all I'm doing. Okay. I spared you all the process of that grinding. But you can see I didn't take much off. I was just cleaning up the edges. I didn't remove much material at all. Just cleaning up where they had been rolled and such. Those hammers have been in place since I bought the mower new, and that involved a lot of cleaning up of the property. Now it's in much better shape, so the mower will get a lot less abuse than it originally got. It won't have near as hard a life as it did back then. So I think we'll be good. I'll get them tested. Thank God for Loctite, and we'll try it out. Well, if we're gonna test it, let's test it. This stuff's 3 and 4 feet tall, pretty thick, and really wet. It was raining until just 3 or 4 hours ago. So we'll try it. It may be dry enough to cut. Okay. Okay. Got him winding down. Boy, that stuff's wet. Just squeeze water out of that. But that is not bad. Cleaning up those hammers did some good. From that to that. Okay. Yeah. I can totally live with that. These things are five and a half feet tall. And even the shorter stuff is 3 feet and better. Wiley just eats it up like a 12-year-old at Chuck E. Cheese or something.